Welcome to Diplomatic Channel. I am Amarachi Ubani. This week, Nigeria's security situation takes a front burner as President Muhammadu Buhari this past week held a brief but effective meeting with Nigeria's neighbors Niger and Chad. And in the past few months, these countries have sent troops to support the Nigerian military in its fight against Boko Haram in Nigeria's northeast. Together, they have retaken cities and towns once run over by the terrorist group. The resolve after these meetings has been that troops from these countries will continue to work with the Nigerian military to protect not only the northeast, but towns close to the Nigerian border from the group's activities. Nigeria's security situation is also taking front burner at the G7 summit in Germany. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said before the summit that Europe was very interested in supporting Nigeria in the fight against terrorism and terrorist activities. So President Muhammadu Buhari has been present at the meeting this weekend in Bavaria. Although Nigeria is not a member of the G7, which used to be the G8, but is now one country less because of Russia, still under several sanctions by European countries over its involvement in the Ukrainian crisis, President Buhari has been scheduled to hold meetings on the side with some of the members of the G8. Our guest this week is well known on the program for his objective views on security in the northeast. However, his focus today is on the impact of the multinational Joint Task Force on Boko Haram. Do stay with us on the program. We'll be right back. President Muhammadu Buhari is in Germany to attend the G7 meeting in Bavarian Alps. The president is guest of the German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who has also invited other African leaders to discuss the security situation in Western Africa as it relates to Boko Haram's insurgency. The main focus of the summit, however, is on the crisis in Ukraine and Russia's role in it. Leaders have agreed to stay sanctions on Russia, which is no longer part of the G7, and remove them only when it has fully complied with the Minsk agreement. Meanwhile, Russia says it fully backs the Minsk peace agreements on Ukraine, but warns that progress is being stalled by Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko. The Russian President Vladimir Putin made the comment to journalists of an Italian newspaper. The president's comments also come a few days after the most serious outbreak of fighting in eastern Ukraine since the February ceasefire. Mr. Putin said that large-scale hostilities in eastern Ukraine had on the whole ceased and a pullback of heavy weapons implemented despite occasional shooting and casualties. Egypt's foreign minister on Sunday held a tripartite meeting with Algeria and Italy to discuss Libya's security crisis. They discussed ongoing bilateral efforts for Libya, as well as the significance of restoring security and stability and supporting a political resolution. They also discussed means to confront terrorism and illegal migration and supporting the formation of a national government. Speaking of migration, British Prime Minister David Cameron says the causes need to be dealt with just as much as the consequences. His comments come as British and Italian Coast Guards on Sunday launched a mission to rescue no fewer than 500 migrants from the Mediterranean Sea. Welcome back. Within a week, Nigeria's northeast has experienced more than 5 Boko Haram attacks. What's scary is that they're happening in new targets as well as in cities which had been overtaken by the Nigerian military. It seems the terrorist group has stepped up its attacks, and it does seem the Nigerian military has been quiet recently about counterattacks or offensives. Earlier last week, the president announced plans to relocate the Nigerian military command from Abuja to Maiduguri, one of the hotspots of attacks in Nigeria. Security analysts said this was a bad idea, seeing that the fight against Boko Haram is not a conventional one. However, neighbouring Chad thinks it's a good idea. President Idris Deby commended President Muhammadu Buhari for this wise decision, as he called it.
It is no longer news that Boko Haram's activities have resumed in northeast Nigeria. It was only a few weeks ago that the Nigerian military recorded a victory over the insurgents in major towns and cities, setting free those held captive by the militants and placing them in camps for internally displaced people. In just 1 week, Boko Haram has launched more attacks, killing scores in its wake, rewriting the success of the military, which had already begun celebrating a quick end to the group's existence. With a new administration coming in, many are highly expectant that the military would maintain its momentum against the insurgents. Instead, there seems to be a lull in offensives, with the military reacting rather than being proactive. A few days after assuming power, the new President Muhammadu Buhari announced that what he says could be the best solution to the menace of the terror group: relocate the Nigerian military command to the heart of the Boko Haram attacks in Maiduguri. With the announcement, the military has begun plans to relocate in obedience to the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. According to the Director of Defense Information, Major General Chris Olukolade, authorities are already expediting action to ensure this is done as quickly as possible. While this action would hopefully repel more attacks, they seem to have triggered a new determination in the group, according to the Borno State Deputy Governor Alhaji Zanna Umar Mustafa.
Very soon, very soon, they will be here. And we have had a very fruitful discussion with them on the issues of support to them, support to the command center and the other military officers that are going to be here. The government, the state government is going to support them. I think they want to try Mr. President to see whether he meant what he said. Because his pronouncement that the command center is going to locate to Maiduguri might have angered them, or might have said, okay, let's dare the president. And when they dare him, they want to put a lot of fears into those who are coming into Maiduguri so that they will not come at all. But I believe the president is somebody who meant all that he said. And I believe the command center, whether they like it or not, is going to be here. And the ground is going to be tested with the command centers, and the new effort of the military and the president himself is going to be tested on the Boko Haram.
For those watching from the outside, the order given by the president could work only if this were a conventional war.
Particularly, Maiduguri worries me because we have seen so many spirited Boko Haram attacks against Giwa barracks in Maiduguri. So many spirited attacks because of the transformation, if I may, that has occurred within Boko Haram terrorist tactics. That is, they have gone now to pure terror, you know, where they use suicide bombers, they use stealth attacks, they use active shooter to attack targets. They are not lined up anymore. When they were lined up, when they took the whole of, in fact, 75% of Borno State, it was a useful strategy then to have the troops go out, because you had an arrayed force that you wanted to go up against, but not when they are doing pure terror. What you need in terror tactics is more intelligence assets. You need more cerebral planning. You need what to call, first of all, what is the vulnerability assessment? You know, a way of mapping what is Boko Haram's future capability, what is their present capability, and what is their fighting spirit like, and what are the kinds of attacks they've carried out. So what do we need? We need more knowledge tools. That's really what I'm saying, because right now it appears the military has gotten its rhythm right by way of equipment, by way of tactics, and we'll see them pursuing Boko Haram guys in Sambisa forest. That is beautiful. But now what we need is more of the knowledge tools, things about complex synthetic threat assessments, and then vulnerability assessments, and then synthetics like TVIs, you know, such that we can now understand what is really driving it, how are we going to be able to protect against them, and then how are we going to win them, because at the end of the day, this war is going to be won on intelligence.
Unfortunately, attacks have sprung up in new places. On Thursday, a suicide bomber detonated a device at the popular Jimeta night market in Adamawa, killing scores of people. With the increasing death toll across the northeast, military strategies against Boko Haram couldn't come any sooner. Thousands more displaced by the insurgency are still unable to return to their homes. Rather, they are making semi-permanent homes at the IDP camps, dependent on the government, and goodwill of charitable individuals. While Nigeria's new government has promised change, it seems Nigeria's security situation will definitely put a clog in the process.
When we come back after the break, we'll be looking at the efforts being made by Nigeria's neighbors in the fight against insurgency. Please stay with us.